Welcome to a Life Under Construction podcast. I'm your host, Rhoda Daniel, and I'm really excited and happy to be here today with you in this different format. If you are listening on any of the podcast platforms or watching on YouTube, you have no idea how grateful I am for you today. I hope you had a good week, and I hope this podcast makes your week even better. I personally have had a great week, one of those weeks where there were a lot of changes. I just returned from a holiday and I got into this week and a lot changed suddenly. Firstly, obviously, this podcast was a big change. I somehow felt it was a good time to start it. I don't know whether that's actually true because this season of my life is usually the busiest in terms of work and everything. But I somehow felt it was the right time, and within a week, I kind of figured everything out, the artwork, the tech, the equipment, like everything in a week's time. It's all because God helped me. I couldn't have done this without His help. So that was one big change. The second big change was even at work. I am in the process of transitioning a big chunk of my work to someone else, and that kind of frees me up to do new things. And as someone who likes a lot of variety in my life, I think I'm excited. So, all in all, it's been a good week, but I'm actually excited to get into this week's episode and this week's topic because this podcast is all about talking about things, talking about topics that will help us live the life that we were meant to live. And today's topic is very close to my heart because this is one thing that has massively changed in my life and changed the quality of my life, and that is peace. I think all of us want peace. We want to be at peace. We want to be surrounded by peace. And I don't think anybody would say, it's okay, I don't need peace. Of course, we want peace. But one of the first things that I understood about peace, and that's what I want to share with you to begin with, is peace is not found in the external world. It's not found in circumstances. It's not found in people. It's not found in achievements. I think that's where we sometimes go wrong. So let's start with the fact and the acceptance that peace is found within us. It is something that we can cultivate within ourselves. And today we're going to talk about how. So, my early 20s, let's go back to my life. My early 20s were not the most peaceful times in my life. I was not at peace. I was still figuring life out. Not that I figured it out right now, but I was like completely in chaos. I was in a new city. I had a new career. Obviously, I had graduated from college and I was with new people. I was still figuring life out. I was still trying to figure out what I was supposed to do in life, who I was supposed to be, and therefore I was not at peace. My entire life was a roller coaster. My entire day, every day was a roller coaster. I would be up in the morning and then down by noon and then up again in the afternoon and down by evening. And it was never predictable because I was letting everyone and his mother affect my life. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was meant to do. And so I was seeking peace in different things. And the days when my circumstances were good, I was at peace. When the people around me were nice to me, I was at peace. When my friendships and relationships gave me a sense of security, I was at peace. But on other days and at other times when things didn't necessarily go my way, I wasn't at peace. And if you have lived life, you know that on most days, life doesn't go our way. So you can just imagine the amount of ups and downs I was facing because I was letting life, circumstances, people dictate my day, dictate how I was feeling, what I was thinking. And I was just going up and down on this roller coaster. every single day, multiple times a day. I was not the nicest person to be around, honestly. I was isolating myself from most of my friends. It didn't help that they were in other cities. I was just all kinds of messed up. Now, if you put me on the tallest roller coaster in the world, which I believe is in Six Flags in the US, or on the fastest roller coaster in the world, which is, I believe, in the UAE, I would be happy to go on that roller coaster, on those roller coasters, not once, not twice, but multiple times, because I love the thrill. But I do not want that kind of motion or speed or drop in my personal life. Thank you very much. And so I was in that position where it was just up, down, up, down. The speed was fast sometimes, the speed was slow sometimes. I was letting everything dictate my life. I had to take a decision that I don't want this. I do not want to get up every day not knowing how I'm going to feel, because I don't like that feeling of being out of control. Now, the fact is that a lot of our life is out of our control, but we can control ourselves and our reaction to our lives. And that is what I had to learn. And I'm so happy I learned it, because the quality of my life, as I said earlier, is so much better than it was in my 20s. Yes, I still face hard situations. I still face circumstances that affect me or should affect me. I still am hurt by people. I still get discouraged sometimes. But I have chosen peace throughout, through certain things that I have done, because I would rather be at peace in the midst of anything that I'm facing than be tossed by the storm. So the first thing I had to do was overcome my thoughts, manage my thoughts, control my thoughts. And I know that it's easier said than done, but as someone who is just a human like you, I have done it, and I want to tell you that it works and it is possible. So don't tune off from this podcast just yet. Keep listening to see how you also can overcome the thoughts that threaten to control your life. Now, you all know what I'm talking about. We all have those thoughts that overwhelm us, that threaten to take over our day, that constantly are moving in our minds, thoughts that are not really conducive to our lives. We know those thoughts. They might be fears and anxieties. They might be like comparison, jealousy, so many worries about the future. We keep ruminating on the past, we keep worrying about the future, and it just takes over our mind, it takes over our emotions, and then therefore takes over our lives. My brother very aptly coined this poem, and I'm going to quote it to you right now because I think it fits in well with what we're talking about. He said, "The mind is the place where battles are fought. You strengthen it with good for you to be a victor. You let it be filled with evil for you to be a failure." The mind is the place where battles are fought. And I want you to win those battles. I really want you to win those battles, because I have fought those battles. I still fight those battles some days. But I know what victory feels like. I know what winning feels like. I know what peace feels like. And I want you to have that. So, how can you have that? How can you fight those battles? You strengthen your mind with good. Good thoughts combat bad thoughts. It's as simple as that, but I know, it's harder to do it in life. But here I want to talk about something that in my interactions with people I have realized, that most of us think that we don't have the power to replace one thought with another. We think that if I'm thinking a certain way, that's just who I am. That's how my mind works. That's my personality. That's my trauma. That's the way I am. But that's not true. All of us regardless of how old we are, regardless of our background, our experiences, the hardships that we have gone through, all of us have the power to replace one thought with another. But many of us have not exercised this power because sometimes no one has ever told us that. Because it's easier to think the way you've been thinking for years, it's harder to suppress that thought and replace it with something positive. It's hard. I'm not going to lie here, I'm not going to deny it. It is hard to stop thinking one way and changing the way you think to another way. But again, if the other way gives you peace, why wouldn't you want to take that effort? We put a lot of effort in our lives for certain things, to earn a certain amount of money, to get success, to get settled, as we say. Unfortunately, we don't give that same effort to controlling our minds. We deserve to be at peace. You deserve to be at peace. You should be at peace. And so, why wouldn't you take that effort? So, how do you do that practically? And I'll tell you how I did it. So, one of the first things was being able or making myself say no to negative thoughts or thoughts that I know are not good for me. How do you say no? You literally just say no. That sometimes means you have to say it out loud. You have to say no out loud. And there have been days when I've been overwhelmed by certain thoughts that I have literally just said, no, Rhoda, you can't think this. No, Rhoda, you can't think this. No, Rhoda, you can't think this. I have had to say it out loud in order to shut that thought down. And the more you do it, it becomes easier. I don't do it all the time now. Now I can do it internally. If a thought passes my mind, I can just be like inside, no. Just no. I will tell myself, no, you can't think about this right now. You shouldn't be thinking that way. And you do that again and again and again until that thought stops. So once you say no, it's not enough just to say no to that thought, to that bad thought, to that fear, to that anger that's coming up, to that irritation, whatever it is. It's not enough to just say no. You also need to replace it with certain good things, certain truths that are important for your life. Again, fill your mind with good. That's what my brother said, is strengthen your mind with good. So make sure that you are surrounded by good things. You are listening to good things. You're listening to good music. You're listening to good podcasts. You're listening to good videos. You are listening to good people talking good things. These are all important, and I can do an entire podcast on that aspect of it alone because it's so important. But for now, it's just important to know that you say no to the bad thoughts, you say no to the thoughts that do not add value to your life, and then you make sure that you are adding good things into your life. For example, just this last week, I was struggling with sleeping, and I think I was overthinking a lot. There was a lot of change, as I said, happening, and so my mind was on overdrive. And I was struggling to sleep. And yesterday I was so tired in the afternoon and I really needed to take a nap. I had a training session in the evening, and so I knew that if I wanted to stay awake for that, I had to kind of sleep and take a nap. But again, I was worried because my mind was working. My mind was constantly like thinking. It was not bad thoughts, but it was thoughts, and it was taking me down the rabbit hole. So what I did was I just had my phone. I just played something on my phone that was constructive, and I let that keep playing as I went to sleep. And I had the best sleep of my life in that 2-hour nap that I had because I was filling my mind with good things. And so, what are those good things that you need to fill your mind with? Surround yourself with inspiration, surround yourself with motivation, surround yourself by people speaking life into you rather than death. Because there are people who are constantly negative, constantly complaining, and the more you listen to those people, the more those thoughts fill your mind. And so Just say no. Just say no to the negatives. Say yes to things that are good for you, and make sure that you are consuming things that are actually adding value to your life. The second thing that I did was I stopped worrying about things that were not in my control. As I said, there are a lot of things in life that are beyond our control. And so, with worry, with anxiety, with fears about the future, I realized that there was no point thinking about something that, if I'm thinking about it, it still does not change. So, why would I waste my time focusing on something that is not moving the needle even a little bit? I would rather focus my attention on something that I can control, and that usually is my state of mind, my reaction to the situation, how I'm thinking about the situation. So once I decided that, life became a lot easier because I started accepting things and just looking at things as, okay, can I change this? No. So fine. I'm not going to think about it. Can I change this? Yes. Okay, I'm going to put my attention on this and I'm going to focus on working towards this. The minute you do that, I feel like 80% of your worries will go away because 80% of your life is not in your control. So you control the 20%. You focus on the 20%. You do what you can with the 20%. And honestly, the way you see life, the joy that you feel, the contentment that you have, the satisfaction that you have automatically increases because you're focusing on what you can control, and the rest you leave it. You leave it because it's not in your control anyway. Then you might ask, then what do you do about the things that you can't control? Do you just trust that everything's going to work out? The way I deal with it is I believe that everything happens for a reason. That belief has gotten me through a lot of life. And I know that I've not lived a lot of life yet. I'm still just 32, but in these 32 years, especially in the last decade, I accepted the fact and I believe and I trusted that everything happens for a reason. And so now, if anything happens, good or bad, I'm very conscious or I'm very intentional about looking at it and trying to figure out what is happening, why is this happening, is this something I need to learn from this, is this something that is stretching me so that I become better at handling something like this, is there a lesson here, right? And I also accept the fact that there are certain things that happen that we will never know why they're happening. Like, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do some of the best people die very early on in their lives? Why does cancer happen? Like, there's so many questions that we don't have answers to. But the way I view things is I will still look at that situation. I will still look at the worst situation I'm in, and I will still find the silver lining in it. And when I do that, my life becomes better. The situation does not change. Doesn't change because obviously that's beyond my control. But I still am able to have a change in my perspective. And that changes the quality of my life. That gives me peace that people around me might not understand because they'll be like, you are in the worst situation. What is wrong with you? How are you not reacting to that? And I've said, it's okay. I can still see some of the good in this. I can still see what I'm meant to be learning from this. And maybe I don't understand this right now. Maybe I will in 10 years, maybe I won't. But I would choose to look at it as everything happens for a reason. And that has changed my life in such a big way because I'm at peace. I will see, like right now, I say this a lot. If this ceiling falls on me, I will still look at that and say, okay, it happened for a reason. What was the reason? I'm not going to react. I'm going to be like chill. I'm going to be calm. Okay, it's fallen on me. So what? What do I do next? I think sometimes we focus a lot on certain statements that might be true, might not be true, but then they don't help. We think life is unfair, and honestly, life is unfair. Nobody promised life is going to be fair. It's going to be unfair. There are certain people who get certain things, certain people who don't get certain things. There is inequality. There is a lot of difference in life and the experiences of our lives. So when we say life is unfair, and life is always unfair to me, we say things like, why do I always get the short end of the stick? Why is that other person getting everything good in their lives? Why am I not getting that? I think we again put ourselves down. We put ourselves into thought processes that are not helping us. What is the point of comparing my life to someone else and feeling that they got something that I didn't get? Like, yeah, they got it. Fine. It's not changing my situation. It is not changing my circumstance. So, what is the point of sitting with that thought? I would rather sit with an acceptance and a peace that whatever I do have is enough, and whatever I don't have was not meant for me anyway, and have that peace. Now, I'm not talking all of this out of just theory. I have experienced what it is to sit with all these thoughts, all these emotions that destroy my peace. I have sat with them for years. And now that I have figured out a way not to sit with them, I don't want to go back. Like, I don't want to go back because I have tasted and I've seen that this way of living is so much better. And I will continue living this way no matter what happens. And my desire, my prayer is that each and every one of you also are able to figure out how to find peace in the midst of chaos. And the word for that is equanimity. Equanimity is being calm in the midst of very, very difficult situations, being calm in the midst of a storm. If we are able to figure out how to do that, if we are able to learn how to do that, our lives become so much better, not because our lives or our circumstances change. No, they're going to be the same. We're going to face the same good times and the same bad times, but we will be stable throughout. We will be centered throughout, and that changes the quality of our life's experience, because life is going to be a roller coaster. It is. But we are able to perceive life in a more peaceful way, in a more centered way, in a more content way. And that is my biggest prayer for each and every one of you listening, because I have experienced it, I am experiencing it, and I want that experience for every single one of you. Now, I also want to add that I know all of you have tried finding peace. You have tried to seek peace in many places. And maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work. One of the things to be cautious about is, where are you finding your peace and in whom are you trying to find your peace? So, as I said in the beginning, people, no matter how good they are, no matter how great they are, cannot be your peace. You might be blessed with good people around you, but if you put the load on them to be your peace, there is going to be a day, one day, when you will be disappointed, because it's too much of a burden for a person to bear to be your peace. Your peace has to come from within you. It cannot come from another person, because they are a human being as well, whether it is a family member, whether it is a spouse, whether it is a friend. They cannot be your peace because they're human and they will one day fall short. And when they fall short, you're going to crash again. So don't find your peace in a person. If you do have amazing people around you, I'm happy for you, but don't put that load on them to be your peace. You still have to find your peace within you. The other places we often seek or try to seek peace, especially when we're going through hard times, is we try to seek peace in escape. We try to seek peace in things that give us momentary pleasure or comfort. Food can be a way of escape, alcohol can be a way of escape, drugs can be a way of escape, pornography can be a way of escape, sex can be a way of escape. All of these things give you momentary comfort. They give you pleasure for the moment. They focus your mind or take your mind off your life for the moment. But let me tell you from personal experience, none of these is going to give you lasting peace. It might give you pleasure or happiness for a few hours at the most, or maybe a few days. But there is a high and then there is a crash. And so, if you are honestly trying to find peace in your life, which I believe all of us are, and if you are trying to find it in places and people and circumstances, do not go to these things that seem like they will give you peace, because they won't. Try to get back to the truths of who you are as a person, what you believe in, what your life is meant to be. When you come back to those truths, that is where you will find lasting peace. So today, as we come to the end of this podcast, you might be wondering, what are those truths? What do I believe? What is my life all about? If you don't know that yet, I want to speak certain truths over you. I want to speak certain truths that I believe for each and every one of you who's listening, who's watching. These are truths that changed my life, and I hope that they will change your life as well. The first thing that I want you to know is that you are precious, that your birth and your existence in this world today is not a mistake. You did not come here by accident. You did not come here by a fluke. The fact that you are still alive and still kicking, despite what you have been through in your life, despite all the experiences and all the hardships, that you are still alive and breathing, means that you were meant to be here. Even if the people around you, your family, your friends, do not show you that love and that acceptance, please know that you are valuable and you are precious, and there is definitely a reason for your existence. The second thing I want you to know is that there is a very unique purpose to your life. You were not just meant to live a monotonous life, a monotonous existence where you just get up every day, you slog, come back home and sleep. That was not meant to be your life. There's something that you are meant to do in this world. There's some way you are meant to contribute, whether it is to your own family, whether it is to the people around you, or to the world at large. There is something placed within you that is so unique, and that you were meant to make an impact on this world. You are meant to leave an imprint and influence in this world. So don't stop trying to find out what that purpose is. Continue to seek for that purpose, and I promise you, you will find it, that unique thing that makes you excited to get up every single day. You will find that soon if you believe that for yourself, that you are uniquely created to contribute to this world. The last and final thing I want you to know is everything happens for a reason, and your life will work out in exactly the way it was meant to work out. Not the way that you wanted to work out, not the way that people around you wanted to work out, but the way it was meant to work out. I believe that peace is accepting all of these things and living the life that we have been given to the best of our ability. I have learned that, and therefore I am sitting here today sharing my experiences with you in the hopes that it will add some value to your life and it will get you thinking about how to bring that peace into your life. If you're still listening at this point, I hope that what we talked about today was useful for you and gave you the insights that you need in order to fight that battle in your mind and give you the victory and the freedom and the peace that you long for. If you want to continue this conversation with me and you're listening to this podcast on any of the podcast platforms, you can follow us on Instagram at A Life Under Construction, and you can DM me there and we can continue this conversation. You can share your thoughts, share your learnings. If you're watching on YouTube, you can still follow us on Instagram, but you can also comment below the YouTube video, share your thoughts, share your learning, share your insights, share additional points that would probably help someone else who is reading the comments to find peace as well. You can also write to us at alifeunderconstruction.com if you want a more private way of talking to me or sharing your experiences with me. Thank you again for listening, and I will meet you next week with another topic that I hope will help you live the life that you were meant to live.